poetry. Writing that is concentrated on imaginative awareness, using language which is chosen and arranged to create a specific emotional response through meaning. Key things here is you're looking at emotion, and you're looking at imaginative or imagination. You really want to have to think and create images in your head as you're reading poetry, and you also want to feel the emotions of the different details and descriptions given in it. Let's take a look at a poem. This poem's titled Bubbles. Floating holes, reflecting spheres, little rainbow heads, glued together like magnets, liquid crystal balls, silent popcorn, bubbles. I want to point out that all poems have line numbers. They may or may not be written on a poem, but you might have to figure out, oh, in line 4, what is it talking about? Well, always start at the top, and it just goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. Sometimes they'll number like every 5th line, so you might end up with it just saying this. And then I could ask you, hey, in line 4, what does it mean? And then you have to figure out, well, this is 5, so 1 before it would be line 4. Just keep that in mind. All poems have line numbers. They may or may not be labeled. You just need to know that you start at 1 and work your way down. Okay, line breaks now is really what makes a poem and gives it that good imagery and those emotions. How did the author decide the line breaks here? To really think about how the author did that, you want to look at the last word in each line. Holes, spheres, heads, magnets, balls, popcorn, and you can even look at bubbles at the top and the bottom if you count those as lines. Well, these are all nouns, and they're nouns that they're relating to bubbles. So that's why the author chose to end all the lines right there, because the author's saying, hey, look, these are all ways to describe and give you a better image of what a bubble is. And then the first word, floating, reflecting, little, glued, liquid, silent. These are all words that describe bubbles. Floating, reflecting, little, glued, liquid, and silent. These are just words that describe what the topic of the poem is, bubbles. So it gives you some good imagery of bubbles. Why is there no punctuation in this poem? Well, some poems will have punctuation, some won't, whether it be commas or periods or exclamation points. The key thing is it depends on what the poem's about and how it's formatted. This poem doesn't have any punctuation because really there's no sentences. Floating holes, reflecting spheres, little rainbow heads, they're all just different descriptions. Each line is its own synonym, so to speak, of a bubble. And all of them are just describing bubbles in different ways. Notice the shape of the poem. That also goes into why the author may have broken up the lines the way he or she did. The poem is shaped kind of circular, like a bubble. So once in a while, poems may actually take on the shape of what they're talking about or something related to their main idea, in that this poem is shaped like a bubble. You might say, well, what happens if I change the line breaks? This could happen. Same poem, same ideas, but not quite as effective as it was with those line breaks. Floating holes, reflecting, spheres, little rainbow heads, glued together like magnets, liquid crystal balls, silent popcorn, bubbles. Again, you don't quite read it the same way because you kind of read each line, you pause, read the next line, and when you change the line breaks, it can change the way the poem sounds and really the way you feel emotionally about it.